Hello.
Yeah, so as I was saying, so this is the course content, and how the classes will be arranged would be like on each topic there will be around 4 or 5 sessions. After every topic we will be giving you assignments where you will be solving questions. It will be available on the portal, so you will be completing those assignments, and we will review them in our next session. Like after every class, 10-15 minutes of doubt clearing would be there. So that's how the course will be planned. Now, for today's class, you tell me, let's see whether we can build a consensus on which topic you want me to work on, or whether I can just go ahead with any topic I want and we'll start off with something. You have any fixed ideas like, okay, I like to do something on this topic maybe, or something else? So you can always say it out. If we have a consensus, we'll try with that, or else we'll just stick to something which I feel would be nice. Anyone? No? No responses? Okay, you have written on the chat. Okay, fine. Any topic. Okay, any topic. Okay, fine. Good enough. So let's start with something which is interesting. Okay, something which you already know. All right. It's not. I'll not be doing completely brand new topic, which I mean you have no idea of, and just go 15 minutes in 20 minutes, 30 minutes into it, and then I say, okay, bye. Time is over. So it doesn't make sense. So let's do something which you know, and we'll show you different ways in which you can tackle that. Okay. So let's take up averages. It's a very simple, apparently very simple topic. Okay, everyone knows what is an average. So if I ask you a question, what do you mean by an average? So let me ask you this. I give you some numbers. Okay, say 15, 17, and 34. Okay, something like that. So what is the average of these three numbers? What do? We add them up, divide by 3, and that gives us how much? 66 over 3. In that case, our average is 22. That's our mean. We also call it arithmetic mean. Also, we call it average, whatever it is. Right? That's pretty simple. Sum of, so average is sum of the values over number of values. Hence, you can rewrite this as sum of the values is equal to the average, whatever that is, multiplied with number of values. Okay. Now, before I go on to in general averages, let's look at a question on this. Okay. So I am talking about, let's say there are 7 consecutive, let's take an example, 7 consecutive odd numbers. Okay. The sum of third, fourth, and fifth terms is, let's say, 93. My question is, what is the sum of the first and the seventh terms? Okay, so I've given you a pretty simple, straightforward question. There are 7 consecutive odd numbers. Consecutive odd numbers mean like 1, 3, 5, 7, like that. Necessarily not starting from 1, obviously, it can start anywhere. And of those 7, the third, fourth, and fifth will add up to 93. You just need to figure out what will be the total of the first and the seventh. So how would you can all again unmute yourselves and speak out if you want. How would you attempt? Like, I don't want the solution. Guys, tell me, how would you start off this question?
So you can try and figure out the total of third, fourth, and fifth by uh, third, fourth, and fifth. Like you can take that 3 number as 93, and
Right.
take the second number as basically um 93. No, basically if you assign anything, the middle value will be x. The value below that will be x minus 1, x minus 2,
No, no,
and
no,
x
no,
minus 3.
no, no. It will be x minus 2, x minus 4, because
X
these are consecutive odd
odd
numbers.
numbers, yeah, correct.
So
So
they will
x
be at a
minus
gap of 2. So one very common approach that we can take, and you keep observing how long it takes to solve it. Okay, so the common approach is doing this. We quickly write this down. There are 7 numbers. They are all odd numbers, so it's understood that x is an odd number. So to get the consecutive odd numbers, I'll keep on adding 2. And then we have the third and the fourth and the fifth. We add them up. What do we get? 3x plus 18. That's 93. And then we solve that. Okay, 3x then comes out to be 75. So x is 25. Right? Once we have this, so now I know that my first term is 25. My seventh term is 25 plus 12. So that's 37. Hence, my answer is 62. Is that idea clear? Just converted this question to a algebra equation based problem to taken a variable x as the first term, solved for x, then plugged in the values, got the answer. It's a very simple approach I have taken. Is there any confusion regarding this? If you have, then you can ping me. If you don't say anything, then I'll assume that it's okay. Good. Okay. Now, see, the point here is this takes a lot of time. I mean, like taking variables x, x plus 2 and all that stuff, then finding out third, fourth, fifth. You have to write almost everything here, right? Then add them up, then equate, then plug in, then again add. So can we do something different? Now, there is a very interesting concept which I am telling you now. So what do you mean by an AP, arithmetic progression or an arithmetic sequence? It's basically terms having a constant difference, like 1, 3, 5, 7, dot, 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 constant difference, 2, 7, 14, or let's take something less, 11, 15, 20, 19, say for example, constant difference of 4. Okay. So if you have an arithmetic sequence, the mean of that sequence is equal to the median of that sequence, and it's always equal to the first term plus the last term by 2. This is only true for an arithmetic sequence, not in every other case. Okay. Let us see whether this is actually the case. So I take the sequence 7, 11, 15, 19, 23. Let's add them up. What's the sum of these? Okay, so it's 18 plus 15 is 33 plus 19 is 52. 52 plus 23 is what? 75. 75 divided by 5 numbers. So that's 75. I mean the average is basically, not the sum. The average is mean basically is 15. Clearly median is anyways 15. What is median? The middle number. Here you have a single middle number, 15. Also the first term, the last term by 2. Check, it's also 15. Correct? Satisfies perfectly. This will always be the case irrespective of how many numbers you have. Okay, even if you have, let's say, 4 numbers or 6 numbers, then also this will hold. So if that be the case, now let's again apply the question that we had. We have 7 numbers which are in AP because constant gap 2. We had been given the third, fourth and fifth. Their total is 93. Therefore their mean is 31, and hence their median is 31. So this becomes 31. Observe the extremes, first and the seventh. 31 is still the median, right? If you take the whole thing. So I can also write then 31 is equal to the first term plus the seventh term by 2. Hence the answer is 62. Was this clear? Is there any doubt why we did 31 and how the first term and the seventh term also gave us 31? I mean, their average is 31.
So in the case of even number, if they were like 6 numbers, so we take the average of the middle again, right? Like the fourth.
Yeah, see, for example, 1, 3, 5, 7. If you have four numbers, or let's say 9, 11, 6 numbers. So the mean, if you check, you add up everything, divide by 6, you will get 6. Check. 4 plus 5, 9, 9, 9, 18, 18 plus 18, 36. 36 over 6 is 6. The median, there is no single middle term. So the median will be the average of the two middle numbers. And the first term plus the last term over 2 is also the same.
Yeah, perfect. Got it.
Okay. So this is a very useful property which you can use whenever you're talking of means, but means for a arithmetic sequence or stuff like that. Okay. And we can keep on like using this to find out the sum of the series also. Say there was this. So by the way, I'm just moving on from this question. I hope this was clear, right? Everyone got this? If you haven't got, you can please let me know. I'll just wait for 30 seconds to get any chat or any response. If anyone wants to. No, okay. I guess it's okay with everyone. All right. So there was this question in the GMAT, maybe with different numbers, but it was talking of a movie hall which had a number of rows, so like 20 rows, and the first row had 10 seats, and each subsequent row had 2 extra seats. Okay, so first row, second row, it's little bigger, third row, it's a little bigger, like that. There are 20 such rows, and the question was, what is the total or some total number of seats, okay, across all the rows? So how many people can this hall accommodate, sort of? Okay, so how would we do this question using whatever we just now learned? Okay, so I don't know anything of sequences, right? Till now I have not taught you anything about arithmetic sequence, what is that or whatever it is. So what we do is, okay, we start off with, okay, first row, that's 10 seats, good enough. Okay, row 1, and row 2 will have now 2 seats extra. Row 3 will now have 2 more seats. So I am going to keep on adding 2, right? Till how many rows? Till I reach row 20. So without using any formula, okay, I am not getting to formulas, just simple common sense. Okay, if you go to the second row, you add 2 once. If you go to the third row, you add 2 twice. If you go to the fourth row, you will add 2 3 times. If you go to the 20th row, you will add 2 19 times, isn't it? Giving us 48 seats. Till here it's okay. Second row, you add 2 once. Third row, you have added 2 twice. Fourth row, you have added thrice. Fifth row, you would have added 4 times. So the 20th row, by observation of this pattern, I can say you must be adding 2 19 times. Okay, so you add it. So you get 48. Now what is the sum? That's what you want. So what you do is first find the average. So what is the average? We just now said it is the first row, first term plus the last term over 2. So you get 29. So what is the sum? 29 seats on an average, and there were 20 seats, 20 rows, sorry. So 580 seats. So it's a capacity of 580 people. You are done. You haven't used any property of sequences or series. You did not even need to use it. We use this logic that in a arithmetic sequence, that is with a common gap, the mean is always the first term plus the last term by 2. And we done this question. Right? We don't need the formula for the sum of a series, isn't it? Not required. So this is what is important. Okay, knowing a formula is okay, not bad. I mean, obviously if you know the formula, it's fine. But what if you can't remember that formula on spot? Then what? The formula for an arithmetic sequence, if you have done it, is twice 2a plus n minus 1d times n over 2. Now it's highly possible you forget it's 2a or only a and what. Okay, so then what do? You can still solve the question. There is no reason to leave the question or just guess an answer, isn't it? So focus on the conceptual learning. Okay, basic concepts, the idea behind the question, rather than focusing on a formula. Okay, that is what is important. Yes, someone has raised your hand. Yes, please tell me.
Yeah. So actually, I tried to do it. What I did was I took the same thing, 2 into 19, and I got 48. And then I thought that these were the 48 were the extra seats that were going to be added. Like
Correct.
it was 20 rows, and with 10 seats in all of those consecutive rows, right? Like, so that way it would amount to 200, right? So 200 plus 248. That's
No, 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 no. That means you are already doing a sum. The fact that you added 10, 20 times. So what
yes.
you are doing is this. See, you said 10, 10 plus 2, 10 plus 4, 10
Yeah.
plus 6,
Yeah.
like this, 10 plus 38. So you say 10 plus 10 plus 10, 20 times is 200.
Yeah.
Plus, now you add 2, 4, 6, 8 till 38 again.
Yeah.
So then it is fine. This will give you the total number of seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will come to, this part will come to 380 if you check. I mean, it should come to 380. And then 380 plus 200 will give you 580.
Sir, could you explain the last part again? The 2 plus 4.
Yeah, I am doing it again. So what you have done is first row 10, second row 10 plus 2, third row 10 plus 2, 4 directly, let's write it. Then 10 plus 6, like this. If I go on, the last term will be 10 plus 38,
Yeah, correct.
right? And now you are adding up. So this is also a good way of adding. That's fine. You are saying that 10 is there 20 times. So that's a 200 plus. Now you again add 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah, okay, okay. Got it. I missed it. I missed it. I
Yeah.
completely.
So you basically thought that this is the last term. That is not the last term.
So all I did was I just took the basic 200 and then added 38 into it.
Yeah. So that is, you did like a hodgepodge of both. So
Mhm.
this is itself the total number of seats, and this addition should come to 380 because the final answer we got was 580, right?
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Got it.
Okay. So this was there. Now next. So again, another simple question. So let's say a guy takes 5 tests. Okay, there are 5 tests, exams he has to take, and in 4 of those he scored, let us say, 87, 81, 93, 96. Now his target is to keep an overall average of 92 across the 5. So what is the score he should get in the last test? Can you do it quickly? We got
So
the question. 4 scores are already given: 87,
second
81,
number, sir?
93, 96. The average has to be 92. So what is the score that he should get in the 5th test?
97.
97. Okay. What did you do?
First and the last term divided by 2 equals to
No,
92.
no, 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 no. You can't do. This is not an AP.
Okay.
That is only for an AP. Okay. Whatever we discussed is only for an AP. Okay. Given that I have discussed a 15-minute full on AP applications, so understand that AP is an important part of the GMAT. That's why I was discussing all of this. Okay. So that's only for an AP, not for any other sequence.
So what's the second number? 87?
81, 81, 87, 81. So what's the normal way? Take this as X and then do this. I guess that's what you guys are doing, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do it. So how do we quickly add? Don't start adding 87 plus 81 plus 93 plus 96. Don't do that. Okay, what you do is 80 plus 80 plus 90 plus 90 is 340. So how do you do that? 80 and 90 is 170. 80 and 90 is 170. So 340 plus how much extra? 7 plus 1, 8 plus 3, 11 plus 6, 17. So 340 plus 17, 357. Okay, don't make a list and start adding 6 plus 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10 plus 7. So don't do all that, okay? Waste of time. You must figure out easier ways of adding stuff. Understood? But anyways, okay, let's continue with all that. We'll take a look at that stuff later on. 357 plus x is 5 times 92. Let's say you are finding it difficult to multiply 5. What do? Don't multiply 5. What do you do instead? Multiply 10 by 2. Okay. Divide by 2. It's very easy to divide by 2. 46. Multiply the 10, 460. Okay. These are shortcuts. Okay. As we keep solving questions in during our sessions, I will keep using a lot of shortcuts like this. So you start picking them up while we are doing it. So because computational calculation, you are not allowed calculators. So we need to save time there also. You know a lot of shortcuts, but calculation takes up a lot of time. Then what's the point, isn't it? So we need to do our calculations fast. Now, what's the answer then? Tell me.
103.
Yeah.
103.
103. Okay. See, I never mentioned that they were out of 100, so that's okay. You can get a 103, so that's fine. All right. So x is 103. You have got the answer. Now, it's a pretty long method, isn't it? I mean, adding up stuff, then that's somewhere you have a calculation, then multiplying, again you have a calculation, then subtract, again you have a calculation, isn't it? A lot of calculation involved in this, takes time. Can we do something better than this? See, I'll explain something. Let's go back to our number that we had started off the averages with. So 15, 17 and 34. We got the average as 22. Let's put them on a number line. You have a 15 here, you have a 17 here, you have a 34 there, and your average, which is 22, is somewhere here, isn't it? It's kind of the balancing point where things get balanced. Now you tell me one by one, how far is 15 away from 22? 7, isn't it? So this is 7 less than 22. 17,
5.
5 less. But what about this one? Isn't it 12 more? What do you get? These numbers, if you add, what do you get?
They're the same.
They add up to 0. They add up to 0. And this is very important property. And this must happen. If your average is correct, they must add up to 0. Let's understand why. Okay. So let us take 3 numbers, okay, A, B, and C, and I say that their average is M. What am I getting? A plus B plus C over 3 is equal to M. Cross multiply that. A plus B plus C is 3M, which we can also write as M plus M plus M, isn't it? Now take one M, each M one by one to the left, and write it like this: A minus M, B minus M, C minus M. What's left? 0. That's what I was doing, right? Let's call this deviations. And this is another very important property of averages. We never use this actually. We always know there is only one thing in average, that is you add up everything, divide by the number of terms, you will get the average. That's true. But this is also true about an average. If you find out the deviations of each of the terms about the mean and add it up, they will all add up to 0. If they don't add up to 0, it implies that your calculation is wrong, your mean is wrong. Now let's use this to answer this. So you have the mean, 92. Let's find out the deviations. This is minus 5, that's minus 11, that's plus 1, that's plus 4. What do they add up to, by the way? Right now they add up to minus 11, isn't it? Plus 5 and minus 5 cancel out, leaving behind minus 11. Hence this one must be plus 11, only then they will all cancel out. So what is this answer then? 92 plus 11, 103. Isn't this a much faster way of solving it rather than doing all that what we did initially? Think, just go through this once more and try to understand if this is okay.
So if there was a number which was say below, like it was smaller. It was say for example the next number was 81.
Which
Uh,
were? Where? So you tell me what are the numbers then? 81 is one, then
Probably. Oh, yeah. Oh, it'll be the addition one. I got it.
okay. So from each number you subtract the average, okay? Not the other way around, by the way. Remember it. 87 minus 92, 81 minus 92, 93 minus 92, 96 minus 92. You get minus 5, minus 11, plus 1 and plus 4. Their total is minus 11. You want the total to be 0 because you know that average is 92. So the last number that you have missing must be a plus 11. Hence the number must be 92 plus 11, 103.
Got it. Also, so this will be only be useful when there's one missing number, right? Like if there's
No, any number of missing terms. So there are two missing terms, okay? The question will be different. So let's take again
there'll be some
87, 89. I'm giving you a question. 91, 94, and there are two missing numbers. And I tell you that their average is 92. Question is, what is the average of the two missing terms? Okay, what will we do? Let's replicate the process again. Minus 5, minus 3, plus, minus 1 again, plus 2. What do they add up to? Minus 7?
Yes.
Minus 7. So that means these two together should be plus 7.
Got it. Yeah.
That means each must be on an average plus 3.5 plus 3.5. Isn't
Yep.
it? So what
Yeah.
is the value of each? 95.5. Done.
Got it.
So when do we use this method? When you know this average. Because if you don't know what the average is, then how will you find the difference, right? So when the average is missing, when the average is given and anything else is missing, then using this sum of deviation equal to 0 method is a very useful and short way of solving rather than going the long way of adding and then dividing by number of terms equating to the average. Okay. So I'll give you a question. Say, the question goes like this. So there are 10 people who contribute to a fund. Okay. So they contribute to a fund. 8 of them, no, sorry. There are, let's say, 12 people who contribute to a fund, and 10 of them contribute $8 each. One contributes $10 more than the average, and another, so the 11th guy, basically the 11th and the 12th, the 11th guy contributes this much and the 12th guy contributes, let's say, just a sec, huh? Okay, let's say this is not 10 but so the 11th guy contributes $8 more than the average of all 12, average of all, and the 12th guy contributes 12 more than the average of all. So what is the maximum contribution made by anyone, any person? So how, think it out how you will approach this.
Sir, is it 18?
18 or 22?
Yeah, 22, sir. Because
Yeah.
max is.
Yeah. Good. That's nice. So what did you do?
I took the average of the last two numbers because there was an extra, buffer that was given. So
Right.
which came down to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so 10 became the average of that 10 more. 10 is the average basically. And 10 is what
10
is
is the average of whom?
of the last two numbers, like the 11th and the 12th one.
No, no. This is not, it's not like they contributed 8 and $12. They contributed 8 more than the average and 12 more than the average. So that 10 that you are saying is on an average they gave 10 more than the overall average. So that's not the right way of thinking.
Okay.
So you got it by fluke. Never mind. Okay. So let's do it with variables. Okay. So what's the unknown here? The average of all of them. Okay, because everything is given. I mean, at least these two guys data is given with respect to this only. So let's take the average of all of them as x. Okay, so what's the 11th guy? X plus 8. What's the 12th guy's share? X plus 12. What's the first 10 people? 10 guys. What how much did they contribute? 80, because 10 of them contributed 8 each. So the total they've given is 80. So can I say that this total, which is 2x plus 100, is the total of all 12 people? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Everyone okay with this? So now, once this is the total of all 12 people, and I say that the average of those 12 is x, so can I make an equation that this must be equal to 12x? Because the total of those 12 guys must be average multiplied with 12.
Yep.
So we have the equation. So what is x? You get 10x equal to 100. X is 10. If I plug in that here, so the maximum that one of them has given is what? 10 plus 12, $22. So max contribution 22. That's one way of solving this question. I hope, is this very clear?
Yeah.
Why I have taken a variable x, got everything in terms of x, then equated the total amount, solved for x, then plugged it in, and we have the answer. Now, can we do something better than this? I don't want to make an equation.
Sir, I did the last method you did. So by adding 8 plus 12, I got plus 20. So I took minus 20 for the other 10 terms.
Excellent, excellent. Very good, very good. So you have an average. So I'm just telling it on behalf of you. So you have done the perfect method. Yes, that's correct. So this is the average. One guy has got 8 more. That means there is a positive deviation of 8. The other guy has got 12 more. So it's a positive deviation of 12. 8 and 12. These two guys are gone. So these two are more than the average. So all the others must be less than the average. Okay. Now the question is how much less than the average? So here, as you rightly pointed out, that there is a positive value of 20. So here it must have been minus 20. Correct? Only then they will cancel out, right? But then this minus 20 will come from how many of them? 10 people. That means I am going to get minus 2 10 times. Were you able to follow? Or do you want me to repeat this?
Got it, sir.
Got it, right? So two guys have given me a 20 extra. Therefore, the other 10 guys must have given me the 20 less. So if 10 of them give me 20 less, then each of them is giving me 2 less. So that means this gap must be $2. And you know that this value is actually $8 because that's what they have given. So that means the average must have been $10, 2 more. So this guy's value is 18 and his value is 22. That's the maximum.
Got it.
Okay, so these are certain methods which will help you to reduce computation unnecessarily. You don't have to make equations. Okay, solve it quickly. All right, let's take one more just to see whether you have got the idea or not. So it's a question on mixtures. Okay, so I'm saying that, let's say you buy 10 10 apples, let's say. Okay, say priced at $2 each, and you buy some more oranges, let us say at $1 each, and you computed the average money that you spent on a fruit. So the average price per fruit came out to be, let's say, $1.4. Okay, now the question is, what is x? How many oranges did you buy? Okay, let's look at the traditional way of solving this, how we normally do it. So we say that, okay, 10 apples, you spend $2 on each of them, so total money spent $20. You have x oranges, you spent $1 on each of them, so total money spent. So this is your total money that you spent. The number of fruits that you bought, 10 plus x. So the average price of a fruit will be the ratio of these two. So 20 plus x over 10 plus x, and this you are saying is 1.4. Now you solve. So we cross multiply. Take this x to this side, take the 14 that side. So you get 6 equal to 0.4x. So that gives us x as 15. So we can conclude that, okay, so we must have bought 15 oranges. This is okay. This is just averages that we have done. 10 apples, $2 each. So 2 plus 2 plus 2, 10 times. So that's $20. And x oranges, $1 each. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 x times. So that's x dollars. Total fruits or total number of units is 10 plus x. The ratio must be the average price that you have, 1.40, $1.40. So how we solved it? Any doubts? This is good.
Yeah.
Now again, my question to you. Yes, yes. Tell me, you were saying something?
No, I said I got it.
Okay, fine. So now again, my same question as usual. Can we do something better? Okay. So observe what I'm doing. Remember the data. So we had 10 apples, $2 each, X oranges, $1 each, and the average price of all of that came out to be $1.40. So now observe on the number line again. On the number line, this is 1. Here you have 2. Your average came out to be at 1.40. So for this value, the deviation is minus 0.4, whereas for this one the value is plus 0.6. Correct? Now the point is, you haven't got one apple, right? Like you have bought 10 of those. So that means this plus 0.06, sorry, 0.60 that you have got will be there 10 times. Does that make sense? Because there are 10 such twos here. So plus 0.6 plus 0.6 plus 0.6 plus 0.6, 10 times. So that will give me a net positive 6 here. So to cancel out everything, I must have a net negative 6 also here. So my question is, this minus 0.4, how many times do you have to take so that you get that minus 6? 15 times. So that means if you had 10 apples here, you must have had 15 oranges there. So I avoided any equation. I just worked with some numbers. Did this method work? You get this method, how I did this?
Sir, in the retrospect, it works, but I'm pretty.
Yeah. So yes, so in retrospect it works. So I have told you that it works. So now whenever you get a question like this, now you start thinking, do I waste my time doing all these equations and then solving equations and stuff, or do I just work with numbers like this? So now you work with numbers like this. You know what to do.
Basically, we have to practice this way.
Yeah,
Right?
obviously. This is something which I am telling you is a new approach. Okay. See, the idea behind doing our classes is what? It's not to just do whatever we were used to doing, right? Like we used to do it in school or in earlier days like this here. So if I still keep on doing it like this, then what's the point of doing a class, isn't it? So we learn something new. We learn a new approach. Now, why do we learn a new approach? Not just for learning something new, because it is more efficient to solve. Okay, so we are learning a new approach because it helps me solve this question faster than what it was taking me initially. And that is why I would move on from the previous approach to this approach. Now, since this is something new, obviously we'll have to put in that effort. So we have to practice like 30 questions, 40 questions based on this concept, so that after those are done, now you know that every time you get any question where things have been mixed and stuff, you do it like this, you are done. So that's the idea. That's what we are going to do. Okay, so we learn new things sometimes, not always, sometimes, most of the times, in fact. So you learn new things, then adapt to the new change. Okay, and then move on to that. Forget the old one. Okay. So
But
do you observe that I started off with the basic thing was sum of the deviations will be 0. I ended the class with still that same concept that sum of the deviations is 0. Only that my context has changed, the scenario has changed, the basic idea is still the same. So that means if you are thorough with your basic idea, then you will be able to apply it anywhere, wherever the question is. Okay. So let's say how fast we can do a question using this method. Okay. So in a class, there were, let's say 40% were boys. Okay. Now some boys join. Okay. Say 20 boys join. Let's put like this. 20 boys join, and the new percentage of boys now changes to 60%. Or let's say 50%. Okay, something like that. Whatever. The question is, how many boys were there initially? Okay. So now I am just jumping to this question. So just see, what I'm doing is the same idea that we had thought of. Think of this as a mixture. Okay. Think of this as it doesn't look like a mixture, right? How do you think of boys and girls as a mixture? But you can project it in that fashion. So here you had 40%. When you said that 20 boys joined, so all of them were boys, right? It's not some boys and some girls. So that means whatever joined was full 100%. On a number line, if I project for 40 and 100 like this, my final average comes down to 50% boys, right? This side, the deviation is -10. This side, it is +50. How many did join? 20 of them joined. Okay, 20 of them joined. 20 times 50 is 1000. So this side I must have -1000. So how many must have been there? 1000 by 10, there were 100. I've solved it. Get it? If you do it normally, you would have said, let the class have X students. So boys were 40% of X. Now boys added +20. Total number of children X plus 20. And then do all that and make it equal to 50. Solve. By the time you have done that, I am done with this question. I moved on to the next question. I've already formulated the next question also. So forget this. This one, you don't need to understand what I did just now. But it is kind of based on this only, right? Same thing I am doing. Just a little advanced concept because I've brought in percentages and stuff. So we will do these also in the class. Okay. So I have just told you about this. Then I will move on to more complicated concepts and then show you that, okay, you can apply the same idea here as well. How we are applying it here, we'll discuss in detail. Right now, you don't need to bother about this. Forget it. But the basic idea is this. So whenever you have a kind of mixture happening, this can be used. Okay, kind of mixture. So here it is boys and girls. So it's a not a mixture in that sense, but the percentage has changed, right? So in the same way, like the price has changed, $1, $2, $1.4, they're also something like that. 40%, 100%, you have got a 50% thing. So we can apply it there as well and solve. So that you need to practice, obviously. So every class later you will be given assignments. That's the reason for the assignment, so that you get enough practice. Plus I will also tell you other sources to practice. So let's say the assignments are complete and you need more practice, so then where do you get it from? So I'll give you all the sources. So you keep practicing that stuff there multiple times till it's very clearly you have imbibed it very well. So nothing else for today. So you have anything to ask?
Sir, all of these approaches, I mean, we have to generally change the approaches the way we used, let's say, for example, in a primary or high school, because all of these
Yeah,
concepts are usually done in schools and
correct.
colleges.
So see, I will not tell you to change every time. Okay, wherever I see that the normal process is longer, because see, I have also been through high school myself, right? So I know what processes we used to do in school level and what approaches I am now telling you. So anything which saves you a really lot of time is worth taking the effort, changing the approach and moving to the new method rather than sticking to the old one. But if I see that, okay, this approach really doesn't help you much, okay, maybe hardly will save you a couple of seconds, then it's fine. Don't change it. No need to change anything. Stick to the old one. But if something really changes the method and I mean saves you a lot of like 1 or 2 minutes, it definitely does. I mean the previous method with X and this one without the X, just with numbers, it definitely will save you in excess of, in at least 1 minute will be saved. So then it's worthwhile, right? Changing the approach, because sometimes in 1 minute you can actually solve one full question. So it becomes a huge bonus if you can do that.
Makes sense.
Right. So that's the idea. Okay. Otherwise, see, what's the point? If you are going to stick to the same thing, then what's the point? Like, why are you even spending money and coming for the classes, isn't it? So we must learn something new which helps, not for the sake of doing something new, but the end result is, does it help me in getting a better GMAT score? That's the end result. Okay. You have to keep that end result in mind. We are not here to learn math methods or math concepts here. We just want to get rid of that GMAT quant section with a good score.
So also this is regarding two concepts. So one was permutation combination and coordinate geometry. I mean, that's something which I'm really bad at. So like that is like in at least in all of these concepts, I kind of had an idea about the
Mhm.
whereabouts of things. But in such concepts which are completely like say for naive or new for me, so we'll go through the basics of it as well, or like how in the
Yeah,
class.
yeah. Everything is from the basics only. So like today, we started from the basics only, right? So in average, there was nothing basic in the sense that the only basic thing to discuss was the average is sum of the terms by the number of values.
No,
So it's not getting it. So every class we'll start from the basics
correct.
and we'll build up. Okay. So it's not like every class is always a 1 hour duration. So permutation combination will be possibly at least like 2 hours plus 1, 3 hours, including probability.
Correct.
Okay, so 3 hours plus we will have maybe doubt clearing classes, as I said, after every 10-15 minutes of every class. So you'll get enough time. Plus, you can always, if you have any questions, any queries, then you can always get in touch with me also.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So if there are no more questions, shall we call it a day? Vanshika, Ishan. By the way, who's Del? What's your name? Your name isn't showing. It's just showing Del. Is he there or no? He's left. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You have sent something on the chat. Oh, Shekhar. Okay. So Shekhar, all is okay?
Sir, I have one query actually. Hi,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Sorry. uh, so, like, it's been more than 10 years. I'm not in touch with the mathematics. Like, my mathematics is totally like zero out of my mind. So,
Okay.
like, whatever I was, जो भी sir आप मैं देख रहा था, it is like up to the 40% for me. So like
Mhm.
how to cope up with this situation? Like will you start from the basic? So like what?
Yeah, so just say for example, today we did averages, right? So we
Yes, sir.
haven't completed it. Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be continuation of this. So we will start off from here. So you will get like after this class, then you can say I'll save the slides. Okay. Then I'll send it across to you. You can review the slides again,
Okay,
and
sir.
I'll give you sources from where you can study these concepts again. So there are other sources where you can go through these concepts once more. Okay, if the slides are not enough, you can also get back to me on maybe you can mail me or WhatsApp me or whatever, that this is something which I am not having doubts, I am not getting it. So then you can ask me at the end of the class also, like not immediately, maybe in the next day, after the class is over, you can ask me that okay, these are the issues I am having. Okay, so can we discuss this and can we go over this? That way we will keep on doing.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it will not be like once I have done a topic, it's done and I will not entertain questions on that. It's not like that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, if you have like almost 10 years out of touch, then definitely you'll have to put in a bit of more effort from your end yourself, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Regular practice is also required, just so that you can come up to that level. So I have a source where the questions are graded from very easy to medium to difficult, like that. So I'll give you those sources. From there, you can go and start solving. Okay, let me start with the very easy level. So in GMAT parlance, it's called 500 level. So
Okay,
you
sir.
first do 500 level questions. Okay, you get to that level. Okay, fine. Now let's move on to the next level, like that. Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
definitely.
then you attempt my assignments that I will give you also. Right, that way you'll have to
Yes,
go
sir.
on.
Also, sir, is it advisable to give a diagnostic mock like before like starting the class, just to get a brief idea about where we stand, or like just to?
Yeah, you can. So you can do one thing is the GMAC or MBA.com, that sorry, the official guidebook that has a printed mock.
Yeah.
Okay, diagnostic printed. So you can take that just to see how it is like. That can be done, but don't waste any official mocks. Okay, because we'll need those later on.
So I was surfing online today afternoon itself. So there was some Manhattan free mock available. Can I give that? Like that's some Manhattan free
Yeah,
mock.
don't do it. The
Okay.
reason is Manhattan is actually tough.
Okay.
It's by nature it's tough, and if you do it now, you won't really score much unless you already know a lot of the topics. Okay, if you don't know, then it won't really help you much.
Okay.
uh, the disadvantage is we lose a good mock, so we can use that mock once your course is complete. Towards the end, you can take that as a mock and see how you have done.
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
so that's why I said that, because the diagnostic is a pen and paper thing, it won't be useful anyways later on to get an exact idea how you have done or how you are progressing. So use the diagnostic now.
Got it, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Vanshika, you have anything to ask?
No, sir, no questions from my side.
Okay, good. All right then. See you guys. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye, sir.
Bye,
Thank you.
Bye.
bye, sir.
Bye. Bye.